Hey, and welcome back to week 3 of the PSAs on Joe. It's me, your host, Joe Slepski. And you know this show, normally we watch every episode of G.I. Joe sequentially and comment on it Mystery Science style. Well, you've caught us right smack dab in the middle of us covering the public service announcements that used to run at the back of every episode of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. So joining me once again this week is my co-host, my partner in crime, my partner in life, my wife, Rebekah Walendzak Slepski. Rebekah, welcome back to Joe on Joe.
Your wife.
Yeah.
Hi, your wife.
Rebekah,
What's your favorite?
Oh my gosh, we've been slaying it with saving lives with these public service announcements for the last few weeks.
Yep.
The world
saying like nobody's business.
Slaying it like a dragon. The world is a safer place because
of our PSAs.
Yeah, because our PSAs have been out there in the world.
Just passing away.
I like last week's. I like your recommendation last week about your personal PSA of wash your hands after fill in the blank. I like that. I'm going to ask you for the end of the show today if you think of another good public service that you, Rebekah Walendzak, puts her stamp of approval on.
Great.
So we'll circle back to that.
I'll do it.
Rebekah, you're a teacher.
Yes.
You teach comedy writing out here at Second City. You've been dealing with students of all ages.
Yeah.
You've taught high school. You've taught like high school age kids, right?
Some
not
a couple times.
Mostly post, but people, adults.
Yeah.
You know. Have you ever seen any of these? Not specific like scenarios where like someone comes skateboarding into your class and they're like, only dudes can skateboard in your class, but. Have you ever seen any of these like PSA style life lessons come into play in your classroom?
Well, I would say not necessarily in my classroom, but when I've had some nose pickers. Let's just be fair. So
some bloody noses?
No, pickers, like boogers. And I'll just look and I'll just be like, is this thing on? Like, I can see you. But I would say when I first started taking classes, it was a different time. And there was the thing of, yes, I was in the class, but there was a thing of like, oh, the girls maybe aren't as funny.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of guys who are awesome, and they're still my friends. But there was, unless you had, the guy who had his cable access show, and he was so cool, there would be the thing of like, oh, you don't like Mr. Show? Well, I didn't have cable, so no, I didn't. Now I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so there would be a little bit of that. Like, oh, you're a girl.
And it wasn't that, and it's funny because aren't the era you're talking about, wasn't like, didn't Tina Fey just finish her run, like a couple years before you?
At Second City?
Yeah, at Second City, yeah. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't, yeah, like they were about to hit, or they were just on SNL.
I think she was just on SNL.
Yeah. So it's like one of the funniest female
but she wasn't really blowing up, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't
But she was on main stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was a presence there on main stage, her and Rachel
Dratch.
Dratch.
You just look at the history of Second City. There's so many amazing female performers.
Sure, yeah. Well, for me, some of these lessons kind of burned their way into my brain early. And so I'm having trouble recalling like any specific moments, but they've never been far from me. Specifically, there was I learned the Heimlich from an episode of Super Friends.
Huh.
Yeah, because Batman and Robin, or actually, it might not have been Super Friends. It might have actually been like the Batman and Robin hour, but it was one of those Super Friends, super cartoons. And animated Batman and Robin demonstrated, and now it's funny, you can see the footage on YouTube, and it looks like Batman's molesting Robin, I'll be honest. But they show how to give the Heimlich. And then there was one when, or I think it was the same one. They're like, yeah, and if you're, they're like, put your knuckle like underneath the guy's rib cage and upward thrust and all that. And then if they went further and like, if there's no one around and you're choking and there's no one around, they demonstrated how to like basically go up against they used a picnic table.
Yeah, but you can go over a chair.
Yeah, or a chair. Yeah, and give yourself the Heimlich to really force it out. And
that's what I do to stay thin.
And that burned in my brain. So there is some element to all these PSAs, I think, that does stick with you.
Do you know where I learned about the Heimlich?
Where?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Ooh.
When she did that to Pierce Brosnan when he was choking on Pepper. He's allergic to pepper, or red pepper, or seafood.
And
Maybe
the
it was
Heimlich?
seafood. And he did that. He was choking.
Oh yeah.
He was choking on seafood, and Mrs. Doubtfire. That's when it was revealed that it's Robin Williams.
Oh, I forget. It's been a while since I've enjoyed the pleasures of Miss Doubtfire.
Good one.
True story.
True story.
Friend of the show, guest of the show. Actually, one of the artists that performed our intro track, Matt Teese. He once gave the Heimlich to a guy. He was a waiter at a restaurant.
Oh my!
He gave the Heimlich to a customer.
Wow!
Like, actually saved his life.
Him.
Saved his life. That customer then went on Yelp and gave a bad review to the restaurant
because some guy bruised his abdomen.
Yeah, because not necessarily because of that, but like that guy had the gall to give the restaurant a bad rating, even though his life was saved by, in this guy's words, quote, and I'm quoting here, a hirsute Italian man.
I don't even know what hirsute means.
Harry, like husky and Harry. I swear to God, we
and
could
he
not
put that as a bad thing, or he said the only good thing is that my life was saved from.
No, like a bad thing. He was like, I was so embarrassed when a hirsute or husky,
so
Italian man had a say. It's the
so
craziest.
Was the guy not actually choking? And Matt's
just
no. Matt just started bear hugging some dude.
No, it's the craziest thing. It is the guy was legitimately choking, and I don't care if the restaurant has rat feces in it. You're eating it, you choke. Someone saves your life. The only review you should ever leave is, these people are great. They saved my life. That's it.
I wouldn't come back for the rat feces, but I'm happy for my life.
5 stars.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to get to it.
I don't know why we went off on a
choking tangent.
Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
He's got the bad tipping thing,
no
right?
tipping Pippen. I genuinely don't know if choking even comes up on these sets of PSAs. I'm legitimately do not know. I'm hoping karmically we do get a choker.
I will say, though, chokers are me. Chokers are us. I'm a choker.
You're a choker?
Not, well, when I was a kid, I had big tonsils, so actually I choked all the time. But I'm the person you don't give the ball to. That guy. One time I made the basket. One time. But, like, the news was doing a spot on the Shakespeare Festival that I was in. I fell going up the stairs while we're in the middle of fight.
Did it air?
Yeah,
oh my.
there's a picture of me falling on my yeah. You don't. I will. Whoever is supposed to be the star, I give them whatever it is.
Oh.
Like I set you up for it, but
I
am a choker from way back.
Oh, that's amazing. Well,
I'm the best on a terrible team, and I'm the choker.
Well, while you're out there Googling chokers, go to Twitter and follow me at Joe and Joe Pod. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Joe and Joe Pod. Send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com and let us know what you think about choking, the Heimlich, Rebekah's penchants for tripping on stage. Penchants. And we're going to get into this next set of PSA. Are you all set?
Yes.
All right. Here we go.
Hi, doggy. Nice doggy. Here, boy. Come on. Hi, fella. Hey!
Don't run.
Mutt.
Walk away slowly.
He tried to bite me.
Never try to pet an animal you don't know. He may be lost, sick, or scared.
You mean he might be dangerous?
That's right. If we don't know, we leave him alone.
And we don't get bit. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. Why did he start growling? Besides, maybe he's just a random dog. We just put our dog through training. Why did he start growling?
Because he didn't trust the kid?
Because he went for the top of his head and he didn't try to pet under his chin.
Right. He also didn't present his hand downward.
Cynthia would be so proud of us.
Totally. We've got 2 dogs here. You often hear them.
Best.
You often hear them in the background of the podcast. Right now we're freeze framed on it. That dog is given the side eye.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That little piece of poop trying to pet me.
I think
I'm not everybody's dog.
I think this is great.
It's smart.
It's very smart. One, again, they use Mutt. Mutt's the dog handler, so his dog is Junkyard, and his name is Mutt. That's not Junkyard, of course, but
did Junkyard come before WWF
oh,
Junkyard
like the
Dogs
Junkyard
or after?
Dog? No,
or it's just been such.
I think it was just concurrently. Yeah, I don't.
Leroy Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Madder than a junkyard
dog. Sure, yeah. So I love that they use Mutt. They also use Mutt without his helmet. So he's like casual civilian Mutt, which is kind of fun. Yeah, this is good. Don't approach strange dogs. However, you like to chase down strange dogs.
They're not strange. They would be stray.
Stray. Yeah, you like to chase them down and rescue them.
Well, you have to.
Right.
You have to.
Right.
But I also know dogs pretty well. So, like, if I saw a snarling, mangy dog, then I would call for help.
Like, this is good to tell children.
Right.
Because children don't have the
out
ability to judge.
and go straight for their faces and that kind of stuff.
Right. That dog's going to eat me.
Right. I mean, the good thing that the kid did was he did, like, go down to the ground, so he wasn't hulking over him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't just put your hand out.
This also was in an era where we were like, like there used to be dog catchers. You know, like I think this, like, the 80s was like the end of like the local dog. There might
probably because of pound puppies.
Pound
Once they
puppies,
stopped.
pound puppies, pound puppies and me. Isn't that a song, something like that? Pound puppies and me.
No, because that's my buddy.
Oh, that is my buddy. My buddy and me.
Kid sister.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the worst. Yeah. So
I mean, it's a great PSA.
It's
smart.
It is really good.
Because
it's really
you immediately want to go out and be like, "Oh, you're so cute. I want a doggy," and you get your hand bit off.
And you
could get rabies.
Right. And I'm also not creeped out that Mutt shows up, because Mutt literally might have been called to the scene to handle, because someone might have called in and been like, "There's a stray dog here," and the Joes are like, "Hey, we got a dog handler.
Yeah.
Why don't you send Mutt out? Go get him."
It used to. I don't remember growing up like pit bulls being an issue. But then eventually people were training them to be. I thought it was like the late 80s.
Pit bulls were a problem in like the 90s.
Really? That's
now,
when they were trained.
I don't think they're.
I think
we're
they're
not saying they're a
wonderful.
problem,
No,
but
they're
people,
wonderful. It's if you
people
train them.
mistreating pit bulls.
Yeah.
That was more of a 90s
they're
thing.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And so loving.
Yeah, they're great dogs. I think any dog can be great. Sure. Even the dogs that are a little more harsh. You can train them right, and they still will just absolutely be loyal and protective. Dogs are amazing. So this is great. This is awesome. This is straight awesome on every level.
It's really important.
That Mutt's involved, the way the kid handled it. The kid didn't freak out. The dog gives you the side eye. Everything about it's amazing. Yeah.
I love that the kid's monochromatic.
Sure, I love it.
All in red.
Yeah, I love it. I would have loved to have seen Junkyard though show up too and be like just have a showdown fight between Junkyard and then the stray dog. Yeah,
and then you watch them go down the stairs, and it's like a downstairs apartment.
And they play poker.
That's what I was gonna say. they each get a stogie and they start to play poker. But all on their walls are all Elvis velvet paintings.
Awesome. Yes. Great. So yeah, I think that was a no-brainer. It's pretty great. All right, so we're gonna go roll on to the next one.
It's getting dark. Slow down. It's hard to see. Look out, a car.
You boys okay?
Dusty, we didn't see you.
And I couldn't see you. No wonder you don't have reflectors. They tell drivers where you are.
I see what you mean.
Remember, if you have to ride when it's getting dark, have the right equipment.
And wear bright clothes. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Almost hit those children.
I'm gonna say he was driving quite recklessly.
Did he have a beer in his hand?
Dusty, that's Dusty. We talked a little bit about him in the previous episode.
Does he have
That's
PTSD
the Desert Trooper
from when he was in Desert Storm?
Yeah. Okay, I get it. The kid, it was dark, and he's like, "Oh, I couldn't see you." Dusty was driving recklessly.
Yeah.
That was a cross.
They must have not been on base, because there is a declared speed limit, and if they go over, the MPs come right after it.
I didn't necessarily see stop signs, so I'm not saying he blew stop signs, but that was clearly an intersection, and you're supposed to, when you go to an intersection, you're supposed to be on, your head's supposed to be on a swivel. Slow down a little bit, take your foot off the gas a little bit. Dusty.
In Los Angeles, you don't do that. You speed up.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And
unless you see a pedestrian in the crosswalk 5 miles down the road, then you come to a complete stop.
Yeah.
So I'm calling into question Dusty's driving here.
Yeah.
Secondly,
a little reckless.
Secondly, I like the message. I like the reflectors and the wear bright clothing at night. However, my problem with that recommendation has always, when you're out all day doing whatever it is, whatever you're wearing, you got to go home at night. You don't have any choice to wear bright clothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good recommendation, but for the most part, it's rarely applicable when you're a kid because you're always reflectors
are
on the bike.
Parents' issue.
Well, that's also true.
What
yeah.
are you
Yeah.
letting your child go out without reflectors on?
Totally true.
You terrible, terrible latchkey causing parent. I don't know.
Totally true.
I shouldn't say that. I was a latchkey.
Except they might have been one of those kids that like took the reflectors off because they wanted their bike to look cool.
Did you see what they were dressed like? They didn't look cool.
No, they did not look cool. They were Marvins.
Marvin's.
Yeah.
Marvin's. What
Isn't
does that
that-
mean?
I feel like that's something we used to say. Is that nothing?
Marvin's.
Did I just make up a retro word that never existed?
I know you could go shopping at Mervin's,
No.
but Marvin's.
They're Marvins, a couple of nerds.
I didn't know that was a thing, but good for you.
It is now.
Those turkeys.
Wow. Hashtag Marvins. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go plausible on this because all of this could happen. Dusty's a terrible driver. These kids are terrible bicyclists. But all of this is a no-brainer. When you buy your bike, it has reflectors on it. Your parents put reflectors on it.
And if they don't,
Yeah.
it's poor parenting.
Yeah. And there should be streetlights. And Dusty, if there aren't streetlights and it's that dark and you can't see that well, slow down, Dusty.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot.
Maybe it's supposed to be a PSA for the adults.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go plausible. It's
So
not
what
stupid.
I would like to see is you've got this PSA, and then someone comes driving up, the policeman who's writing a ticket, who goes, "Listen, Dusty,
You been drinking? Hey, is that Yojo Cola I smell in your breath, Dusty? The only thing that saves us from being stupid is that the kids meet the military man in an organic fashion.
Yeah. None of the others.
He's not
really
stalking them. He's not jumping out of bushes like a ninja. He's not playfully swimming with them at the beach.
The organic one is when he almost hits
He
them
almost
with the car.
murders them with his car.
The others are just randomly hanging out, waiting for kids to do something stupid. But this one is like, well, I almost ended your life. Nice
Yeah.
to meet you. I'm Dusty.
Yeah, I'm Dusty, and now you're Dust.
I see what you
See
did
what I
just
did there?
Mm-hmm,
Dust
good.
in the wind. That's
good.
what we are.
Plausible.
So yeah, so plausible. All right, here we go with the next one.
Come on, throw it! Corral! Hey, I was safe! Ow! Let's get him!
Hold on there.
Cutter! They started it. We did not.
Well, fighting won't stop it. When people disagree, sometimes they need someone who's not involved to settle things.
Johnny Kadam, he's not rooting for either team.
Good thinking. Instead of fighting when you disagree, look for a better way.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
I'm so disturbed right now.
Who's that Johnny?
Thank you. Who's Johnny? Johnny's 5 years older than them
Mm-hmm.
by far. Granted, he could be someone's older brother, but he looks like a local drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So and the whole time, Johnny's got his hands behind his back.
He's Johnny Pedophile. That's his name.
What are you hiding, Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny.
How many bags of marijuana are you hiding behind your back,
The wacky
Johnny?
tobacco.
How many joints are behind your back while Cutter talks to these kids? Second problem here. What is Cutter doing hanging out at the baseball game? Granted, he's got a Boston hat on, which means he's a Boston Red Sox fan, so he likes baseball. Okay,
and
fair
he was
enough.
really sad back in the day.
Yeah,
'cause they hadn't
right.
won
They
in
were
how many
losing.
years,
Yeah.
right? Well, yeah, he couldn't
It
go.
had just gone through
He wanted to look at some other losers.
What's his face? His legs. He is he's a naval officer. He pilots the killer whale hovercraft, so he should be on the ocean. So what's he doing inland at a baseball game?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, they don't. They have leave and they go home sometimes.
Then take your life vest off, Cutter. Okay, I'm just saying.
It's
Cutter
a PSA. It's safety is many.
Cutter seems like a weird choice for the PSA.
True.
Okay. Granted, he does have the baseball cap. That's probably why they thought to put him in there because that's part of his look. So I'll grant him. I'll give him that.
Somebody who is like an observer? Is he a guy who deals in like fair things?
No, no. He just pilots the big, massive.
They're teenagers and he has
hovercraft.
cutters.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
depressed
Cutters.
emo?
Yeah. He deals with
Terrible.
all the depressed Joes.
I'm awful.
That's awful.
That's bad. I hate myself right
Yeah.
now.
So creepy Johnny hanging out with his hands behind his back. Okay, and then I guarantee you.
He was wearing a 10 for dime bags.
Yeah, I guarantee you. That's good. I
You're
like
welcome.
that. That was not the first blown call of that game. That game does not start. That fight does not start based on one blown call. That had been simmering. There were some hard slides earlier in the game. Maybe a couple like chin music pitches, like a little like whoo, right at the head, kind of knock you out of the, maybe a few plunked batters. That was simmering. And sometimes pot simmers, it's got to boil over. You got to get it out.
Man.
So listen, for the drug dealer, for the fact that kids are going to be kids and sometimes you got to punch your way out of it, I don't like this. This is stupid. I don't like this at all.
I thought you were going to go from the drug dealer and the kids beating each other up. Awesome.
Yeah, no. Well, it is awesome because it's great. But no, it's as far as like then the moral being like, yeah, sometimes you just need to bring in a third party. Well, you know what? What if Johnny's like the older brother of that catcher? You think he's going to give a fair, you know what I'm saying? Like, because if he truly isn't related to him, if he truly is a third party, what are you doing at the park, Johnny?
All I'm going to say is I think if we took this PSA and we took it to Washington, it could do some good. We need a third party. We need someone objective.
I see what you're saying.
We need 3 equal branches.
I see what you're saying.
3 equal branches.
Yeah,
Tri-equal.
Yeah. So I don't know. So,
Well, as a girl, you don't fight. Don't fight. You dummies, don't fight.
Some of the best fights I've seen involve women.
Well, you like to watch them on YouTube.
Yeah,
when they're happening at Denny's.
I'm talking in person too. I'm talking in person.
Well, I'm not from the South Side. I'm not from the South Side.
I've seen women
I have
fight.
never been in a physical altercation.
Okay.
I don't. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Well, listen, I'm not a bruiser myself, but I've
You've
been
had
around.
some fights.
I've been around.
But that's the thing. Like, it's just not. I mean, when I was a kid, people fought and that kind of stuff. But like, the closest I ever got to a fight it was in a basketball game, and some girl like came down hard on one of our teammates, and we like rose up from the bench, and then the ref didn't do anything, and that's when we lost it. And there was like a moment that I was following herd mentality where I was like, I'm gonna go do something. But I mean, what? Like, if I hit him, it's only one step away from. I used to beat the crap out of him playing basketball. You smack him in the head, and you box him out, and you knock him on the ground, and you dive on him, and all that kind of stuff. So maybe I have actually fought. It was just over a ball.
I feel like I think I've been in a fight in every sport that we played. Possibly the best was it was a hockey. We played deck hockey, and I was outside. It was probably 10 degrees outside, and the fight from the game spilled over into the parking lot. It was crazy. I was crazy. Well, you say, oh my God. The best part of it is I was probably 16 at the time, maybe 17, 16. And my mom, Mary Lynn, jumps into it.
What?
And grabs hold of some of my friends who were
like yanking them off.
Yeah, because these were all boys that she knew that we all known growing up, and they were on the other side of the fight because it was totally by team.
They're on the other side of the fight, like fighting you.
Yeah, it was team. Yeah, it was straight team on team. But that was the thing. The fight started. My part in the fight, I grabbed a guy that I know, and I went, I don't want to punch you, and he's like, I don't want to punch you. So we kind of like just held each other, but it was team on team.
Was it romantic?
No. It was team on team. Like there was some.
You had to fight it.
Well, it was you had to be in the mix, and my mom comes flying through and starts ripping people off. The next day and the next week at school. She's
not a big woman.
No,
she's a small lady.
The next week at school, all my friends were like, "Yo, your mom's badass."
That's awesome. She was
because she knew all these guys. They were like friends of my sisters and friends of mine.
If they were fighting or whatever, they see her, they're going to stop because.
She got mad props then for like the rest of the year. Like she'd show up to pick us up for football or whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they'd always be like Mrs. Slepski.
Wow, good for her. That's baller. I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But no, this is sometimes emotions boil over. I guarantee you that was not the first bad call of that game.
And I'm also going to say, I love how just very specific you are on that. Look, here's the deal. These are the rules of it. It's you don't just
I've been around.
But I would say this. If this was a girl team and somebody came over and said, sometimes you got to be objective, girls. Do you just go, it wasn't the first bad call and it would have been brewing? Or would you go, come on, ladies, don't fight over it. Sportsmanship. I mean, that's what they're talking about, is sportsmanship, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what Cutter's saying.
But like, I feel like at any point, if we were fighting and a grown-up came and said, "Ladies, don't fight," you go, right? We're not supposed to be fighting.
Oh well,
But guys are allowed to fight.
And
There's just more instinct.
Well, I'm not saying in the broad strokes you're wrong, but I've seen plenty of girls threw down. Plenty. I grew up with plenty of girls. Tough, awesome ladies who would have had none of this. But also in that scenario, I'm going to end it with this. An all-girls game, and it's still Johnny the creeper hanging out watching it. All right, so real quick, plausible, stupid, or awesome from you?
Plausible.
Plausible. Okay. It gets as stupid in my book, but we're going to move on.
I don't want like all that fighting. The chicks are fighting all the time.
I'm running away from home. My parents are mean. Where'll you go? I'm not sure, but I'll show them.
That's right. You'll show them how mean you can be.
Shipwreck.
Isn't it better to try to solve problems instead of running away from them?
I could try talking to my parents again.
Yeah, tell them how you feel. And remember, running away.
Leads nowhere. Now I know. And knowing is half the battle.
Wow. This is strong. This one's legit strong.
There's a man with a bird on his
It's
shoulder.
Shipwreck. He's the best.
There's a naval guy just hanging out in the cornfield.
Okay, actually, funny. Okay,
Or it's a woods.
No, it's a woods. Reason you
wood.
say that is, yes, it's obviously set in the wintertime because they even gave Shipwreck a coat. But at first glance, it looks like the kid's running away in a post-nuclear wasteland.
Yeah, kind of.
It really does.
But I also love that it's a young man, but he's still wearing a pink hat. It was it was a nice pink knit hat.
I used to run away all the time.
Me too.
I always ran away.
I did too.
I did.
Did you pack up your gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, me
Once when I was really young, I had a suitcase full of toys, and I was walking them down the street, and my neighbor stopped me because he said, "Hey, I hear your parents are having spaghetti for dinner." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, if you run away, I'm going to eat your spaghetti." And I said, "No, you're not."
How old were you?
I don't know. I was old enough to think that packing toys was a good idea, but I continued to run away.
That is, who is that person?
This is my neighbor, Gary.
And the way he saved you
Yeah,
was to say,
that's how
I'm
he
going to
stopped
eat
me.
your spaghetti.
Yeah.
That is I'm going to cry. That's the
Yeah.
cutest story.
That's how I was stopped.
And if he didn't, that creepo from our first episode of this would have driven by and gotten you, dumb
Yeah.
kid. So I used to run away all the time, but I wasn't allowed to cross the street, so I would just be waiting on the corner. And I knew that, like, if I crossed the street, that was it. Like, I drew a line in the sand. It was like
welcome
crossing
home.
the Rubicon.
Yes. I once got, and this was when I was actually older, and I got caught because it was snowing out. My mom just tracked my footprints.
She's a tracker.
Yeah. She's spirit.
I know.
This one is troubling on a lot of levels because, one, the two kids just meet up in the woods. Hey, Billy, what are you doing? I'm running away. Okay, great. But seriously, though, I like what Shipwreck says about talking to your parents. But PSA was done in that era. I think that era of, like, you're a teenage runaway. Like, I know everything. I got all the world figured out. I'm getting out of this hellhole, and I'm going to make my own way, right? Yeah. I'm going to say, in retrospect, most people legitimately run away from their house because there's some serious damage going on at the house.
Are you saying that was happening to you?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
That's what it sounds like.
No, not at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. I said serious runaway. Like, I was a kid who just would, like, that would
With
be
your
the
choice.
threat. Yeah.
Like a pack of
No,
rats.
I'm talking about, like, legit, like, because being a runaway was a thing. But, like, usually you hear about it because, like, the kid's being abused or you know what I mean? Like, so Shipwreck's advice of talk to your parents. How about talk to your counselor or an adult, or talk to, like let's take that third party suggestion from the previous PSA and bring it into this one and be like, if you're having trouble at home,
Call Johnny.
call Johnny.
Number 10. He's got a dime bag for you. He'll make you feel good.
He'll smoke your cares away. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a trickier message to get across.
I think this isn't a boy's life. Like, you know what I mean? I
Right.
think they're showing that we're hormonal and worked up,
Right.
and we make rash decisions.
That's
what it
This
seems
is
like.
addressing.
This kid didn't have like
This
a
is
bruise on his
addressing
face.
me, the runaway,
Yeah.
who would be upset because whatever stupid thing.
Mom grounded me, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be addressed. This isn't addressing the kid who legitimately is like, I can't.
Saving myself.
I can't. Yeah, right. I'm saving. That's
or
exactly
I'm
right.
gay, or I'm trans, or there's something going on.
Yeah,
that I
there's
can't-
something so damaging.
So I don't
that I need
think
to go.
they're going to get to that.
Yeah,
point.
you're right. You're right.
This is the. I mean, it's things like it's taking it further, but it's like teens who take their own lives when they're not thinking that there's. You just got to get
You just
past it.
got a couple years to get through.
Yeah. So I think it's something to do with that. But also the lesson is you're upset, but it's not making anything better. Your heart's broken. You're going to break your parents' heart, and if they can't ever get you back, it's
Yeah.
I mean, it is the end of their world, and we don't think of that when we're kids.
And who's going to eat the spaghetti?
Well, that's the name of your autobiography.
That was the
Who's
car-
going to eat the spaghetti
that was
by
the,
Joe
that was the B
Slepski.
that was the B side to the Cars. Who's going to drive you home?
But it's spaghetti.
You've won me. You've won me. I'm gonna go awesome on this.
Good.
Because I do think this is speaking. You've won me over. I think this is speaking to the kid to the me kid, the kid who was just upset about something trivial, and like, you know what? If you turn around and talk to your parents about that trivial thing, this is not speaking to the kid who's actually coming from damage.
But you'll do
And-
because something bad might happen in this transit.
Right. Yeah, he might run into that driver
Yeah.
from the first
Yeah.
day.
Dusty might run him
And
over.
also, yeah, right. And also awesome because they went and they used a different character model for Shipwreck. They gave him the pea coat. They, you know, like he was dressed for the season too.
Nice.
So which is a nice detail, you know, for the
Designed
for the
by
animation.
Isaac Mizrahi,
Yeah.
maybe.
Although I will say the only reason this could catapult to the top if Polly had spoken. I love when Polly talks.
Don't be an idiot.
Yeah. Rock. Hey, sailor. Where you going? Rock. Who's gonna eat your spaghetti? Rock.
It's the cutest. I'm going to eat your spaghetti.
So
That's actually a come on line, too. I'm going to eat your spaghetti.
I'm gonna eat it.
Don't just look at the spaghetti. Eat it.
It's a plausible, stupid, or awesome.
Plausible.
Plausible. Okay. All right. Here we go with the next one.
Strike three!
How can you miss that? I quit.
You don't see the real problem.
Ripcord.
Having your eyes tested may clear things up.
Great game.
Don't avoid a problem, meet it,
And beat it. Now I know.
and knowing is half the battle.
They made that boy look like a grown man who was just really short. They should have been like, hey, great home run, Four Eyes.
I've needed glasses since like the second grade.
Yeah.
It didn't take me getting onto the baseball field to be able to not see. Like usually you see it. You see it in the classroom. You know, you can't see the.
Yeah, it's about baseball. It's not about I'm failing out of school because I can't
Yeah.
read what's on the board.
However,
He
they've.
could get hurt.
Well, that's
also.
true, but actually, they've. I'm blanking on who it is, but there have been legitimate Major League Baseball players who didn't realize they needed glasses and were starting to struggle at the plate, and the doctors were like, "You don't." Well, it's funny. It's in the movie Major League. That's why
right.
Wild Thing needs glasses. But that actually is a legitimate thing. That did happen to a few ball players, where when they either got LASIK or contacts or whatever it is,
Then
actually
they got better.
Yeah, they actually got better because they were this whole time they were like, yeah, I never really could see that well. So as a
That
proponent
whole
of eye
time
health,
with what's his name, McGuire, he just needed glasses. It wasn't steroids. It was he needed
steroids.
glasses.
Sammy Sosa just got really great contact lenses. Yeah, baseball been very, very good
As soon
to
as-
him.
As soon as they got glasses, they just thinned right down.
Totally.
The body acne went away.
Yeah, glasses.
Penis size finally.
Yeah. Glasses cure back knee, and they also stop swelling of your head. Yeah, so this I like this. It's a little silly. I think I like the use of Ripcord. He's the G.I. Joe paratrooper. He doesn't get a lot of play on the show at all. Strangely enough, in the comic book, he had a lot of screen time. He probably had a good year or year and a half or so where he was one of the leads in the show. Like he had a girlfriend, and her dad was with Cobra, and so he had to figure that.
Did he ever
that.
guest star on the show Riptide?
Ripcord?
Oh damn!
but I wish Riptide.
Ripcord,
with the
guest
big,
starring
the big pink helicopter. So Ripcord was cool from the comic book, so I like seeing him on the PSA. That's fun. He didn't get a ton of play on the show, but of course in the movie he was played by the Wayans, by Marlon Wayans, I think, one of the Wayans brothers. He played him in the G.I. Joe movie. He was Ripcord, and but he wasn't a paratrooper.
Was he gassy?
He was a pilot. Like it was
Rip it.
It was like it was weird. Like if you're gonna make him a pilot, they should have just made him Ace. I don't know. Anyway,
Come on, I'm making fart sounds. Come on.
I know. You're classing the joint up.
Yep.
So I like it. I like the message. I have trouble saying it's awesome because it's kind of just like
It's fine.
go to the eye doctor. So I'm going to say it's plausible.
Plausible.
Yeah. Yeah. How long have you been in glasses?
Since I was 16.
16.
I've had reading glasses since I was 16, and then now I'm older. It's for both. Yeah.
So, yeah, glasses. Get your eyes checked. Easy.
Yep.
No brainer. All right, moving on. Next one.
There could be a whole thing about like insurance, but that's modern day.
Oh, yeah. Get your eyes checked. I can't ripcord because my parents don't make enough money.
They just defunded the chip program.
Yeah. Here we go with the next one.
Hey, watch this. You're gonna pull that alarm? Why not? It'll be fun.
That kind of fun can cost a life.
Barbecue.
False alarms are no joke. They keep firefighters away from the real action. And in this business, a few seconds can mean the difference between life and death. Remember, a firefighter's job is to fight fires.
Not answer false alarms. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
What's that accent?
What do you think it's supposed to be?
I think it's supposed to be New York.
No.
Boston.
I love that you.
His name is Barbecue.
You call that. He's the star of absolutely the most controversial Joe episode of all time, which is called The Viper is Coming. It's the one where they get a code to his firehouse that he has in Boston, and it says, "The Viper is coming. 10, 12, 86. And then they're like, oh my God, Cobra's coming. And then they have to decipher what 10, 12, 86 means. And they find some coordinates and they go there and it's a Cobra bunker. And then he gets another message. And it turns out, and every time he calls, it leads the Joes to a different location and a different Cobra base. But at the very end of the show, he's like, the Viper is coming now. And they go out there and they're all barricaded and they got tanks. And they're like, all right, this Viper guy, whoever he is, he's going to come get us. And it's a window wiper.
The Viper.
Thick accent. Yeah. Yeah. So barbecue.
He's coming on 10, 12, 86.
Yeah.
Like the date.
It's the date. Right. Yeah. It's
idiots.
Fantastic.
It was a 22 or a how long
22 minute
22 minute blackout.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's the most controversial episode of all time. People either hate it, or love it. We had Matt Kyle and Kevin Unbrecht on for that, specifically for that, to get them on because it's such a classic episode.
And they like it or not?
Oh, they're split. They're torn.
Really?
Yeah, they're torn. Kevin, I think, hated it, if memory serves, and Matt was down
It just
with
makes our military look like idiots. Let's just be fair. And then then Trump wins.
Yeah, so that's how it happened.
Yeah.
So to see barbecue just makes me think of that episode, and anything to make me think of that episode makes me happy.
And do you also get hungry?
Also hungry.
Okay, good. A little brisket.
His outfit, of course. Now in those in the first episode of our PSA, we talked about the Fensler parody PSAs. The one that he did for barbecue is pretty funny because his helmet makes him look like a robot, right? So whenever he's got the helmet on, he just has dubbed in this like, and then he takes the helmet off. And he's like, "Hi, kids." So there's a lot about this that's pretty funny. But
What is it? Dead mouse? Danger mouse?
Dead mouse with the hat. Yeah. And Daft Punk. Yeah. I like it. I think it's totally plausible because they're out in public with a fire alarm. Like that fire alarm could have been right next door to his firehouse. Like there's, it's not, he's not creeping up on them.
Kids do it all the time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Was there any, they always said like you had blue when you broke it, you would get blue spray on your hand.
So smart.
I don't know if that was true though.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
I don't think that was true at all. But that's what you would
Were
think.
you tempted?
No, I was never tempted just
I
because
wasn't a clown like that. I didn't.
just because I figured I'd get caught because the rumor was that you got hit with this dye that sprayed you blue. In college, though, you get to the fire alarm in the dorms.
The worst when it's finals. It's the worst.
Or in the middle of the night, and people are out, and people are fresh from their showers.
Yeah.
But then once every few years you hear about like terrible dorm fires, and you're like, okay, I know you need to get out. Like they take it very seriously. So people are out there in their all-togethers. So pulling fire alarms, it's no fun.
It's idiotic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything that would ever run through my mind. I think you're hearing I've got a nasty mouth. I'm funny, blah blah blah. But I'm a rule follower. It would never even cross my mind to do it because it's not a fire.
Right.
You know what I mean? Boy Who Cried Wolf. I learned that when I was a kid. You don't do that.
Yeah. So I'm voting plausible on this, and the reason I'm not going awesome though is because the fire they were going to pull the alarm in public. If they were like in a mall. You know what I mean? That would have been, for my brain, it would have been awesome because they would have been like doing it to cause some kind of public reaction. Mm-hmm. They pull it out here in the middle of nowhere, which is, I guess there used to be fire alarms in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I think there used to be. But all they're doing is the guys are just showing up and then there's no fire versus like you do it in a mall for effect. Or you do it at a dorm.
I wonder if they showed it that way so that kids wouldn't get the idea to do it at a mall.
You're probably very right. You're probably totally. And also,
I'm often right.
And also, the animation is cheaper too because they just use a stock background. You know what I mean? Yeah. But so I'm just going to go plausible on this just because it doesn't have that added element of social prank to it. Like these kids were just being jerks just to see what happens, not necessarily like let's watch these people run around like idiots.
I say it's awesome.
Awesome. You're saying awesome? Awesome.
Because they're delinquents.
Well, I love it. And you know what? And that's going to be it for today. I think this was a good, healthy round of public service announcements. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm supposed to give you a PSA now.
Yeah. Do you have one? A nice message
Always
for the kids.
Always carry a hanky.
Always. I think that's so true for men and women. You never know. You never know when you need a hanky.
Yes.
My grandma always had a hanky.
Aww.
Always had a hanky in her purse, ready to go.
Gentlemen used to, like my dad, my stepfather, like you just keep a hanky with you and you blow. Yeah. It's gross because you blow your nose actually in a rag, and that seems gross because we throw things away.
Yeah.
But there always was like if you got a bloody nose, if you sneezed,
lean forward if you get a bloody nose.
Lean in. But there always was like if you sneezed or whatever, they always had a hanky for you, and that's not a thing that.
No.
Happens
well,
anymore.
yeah, no. Because now people just pick noses and get bloody. So there you go. Rebecca says, always carry a hanky.
Yes.
Yes.
A Mr. Hanky.
Mr. Hanky. The Christmas poo. Which this might be our Christmas episode.
Howdy-ho.
So if you're hearing this right before Christmas, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
You can't stop me from saying happy holidays.
It's the war
I'm
on
an
holidays.
American.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you so much for listening to Joe on Joe. Thank you for listening for the last 2 years. We're coming up on our 2-year mark.
2 years.
2 years. We're nearing 100 episodes.
Wow, baby doll. Congratulations.
So, keep it real out there. Hope everyone gets some really great G.I. Joe Christmas presents. That'd be amazing.
Or Hanukkah.
Or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. Absolutely. So thanks for listening. And now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.